babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. love, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't talking now. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna dine in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell nah, been waiting too long. Hell nah, I want that cruel love.
Ladies and gentlemen, lock yourself in. It's the first of the $2 million races here at Ellerslie on Karaka Million Night. It is the Karaka Million 2-year-old.
Gates open, they're up in the Karaka Million. She's taken the lead, Probabeel, she threw clear for Maiatea Land. Shut the gate, Probabeel, brilliant.
She's just all class, and what she's doing now as a 2-year-old is just a bonus. What she's going to be as a 3-year-old.
It's the biggest week in racing in New Zealand, and it is the biggest night of racing here as well on Saturday out of Ellerslie. 6 of the best to look forward to with Karaka Million Night. The 2-year-old raced number 4, the classic for the 3-year-olds. We were looking for a bit of history around Probabeel to take that race out after what she did 12 months ago when winning the 2-year-old version. What a night of racing in front of us. Now, you might think, where's the boys? Where's Aidan Rodley? Where's Jason Tan? Well, they're away. Aidan's not feeling too good. Jason is playing golf with Bevan Sweeney. So this is not the box seat preview from a long, long time ago,
no,
Michael.
It's not. It could have been.
Yes, it
Us
could
in
have
the
been.
old days.
That's right. But yes.
Luckily, BP, as I say, good evening to you, or good morning if you're watching on Friday morning. We both have big mouths and lots of opinions because we have 6 great races and lots of opinions to get through. It's a magic meeting. It really is. I've always thought that the harness racing meeting in the New Zealand Cup held the sway of our best race meeting of either code, and then Derby Day at Ellerslie was very special. I think that's been slightly diluted, but I think this meeting in the last 5 years has become the meeting I look forward to the most. It feels different from any other day you go to or night in New Zealand. It really does. When you walk on the track, there's an energy behind you very similar to an All Blacks game. There's that energy which the boys get paid are actually helping with even more in the last couple of years. You know it's big money, so you can feel the edge in the trainers and the jockeys and the owners, because $550,000 winning stake is huge money. The breeders are there and it means a lot to them. So almost everybody you bump into is involved in the equation in some way. And then of course there's the other energy, which is people who are selling horses this week. And they want their stallion to win and all that sort of thing. And people would say, what's going to happen tomorrow? And new people come to the track and international jockeys. It's got so many different dynamics that I can't see why you wouldn't enjoy it. And this year we have Probabeel trying to make history. We have a really good 2-year-old bunch. And we have, for the punters at home, James versus Opie. And Opie is the absolute king of Karaka, but James McDonald has just got a fan base at the moment when he comes back to Ellerslie, probably like we haven't seen in this country since maybe Lance O'Sullivan. So all of those things on a beautiful night at Ellerslie on Saturday, it's going to be a very special couple of hours.
It will be, yeah. That late start, as you said, that bit of a walk-up crowd. It's just, there is that energy around this night like no other race meeting, and that'll be the case when the gates crash open for the very first race of 6 races at 4:30. But before we crack into the form around the 6 races, it is now time for the First Call Best Bets competition. Yes, up to $700 now, but I will say that last week John got very close to taking out the $600 bonus bet because his selection was Enzo's Lad, who's finished second and has given an almighty big sight. So you need to be able to find one over the weekend, and if you can go beyond sort of what we collectively can get here with our best bets, you can take out the $700. So we'll also have selections from Michael, Jason, Aidan and myself. So let's hope you can pick something you like over the weekend. Maybe there's something around $5, something around $10 that you're really liking from Friday through to Sunday. If you like one Friday, I'm sure we can let you on because Te Ara is pretty good actually on Friday, so you might want to maybe find one there. So we'll get to Michael around his best bet later on in the program, but jump online, Facebook Live, to be able to add in your thoughts for your best bet to try and get a piece of $700 in bonus bets. Right, let's crack into the form. Let's get into the 6 races. The first race on the program will be the Karaka Cup. Now, this is the only race that is not listed or doesn't have any black type status attached to the race. So this does mean this is not a top 4 payout race with the bookmakers. That'll be from races 2 through to 6. So just bear that in mind, punters. Small field, we do have favouritism around 2 horses. Pin Me Down at 290. 290 also for Intrigue, Sentimental Miss, who missed the City of Auckland Cup, of course, with the mishap that happened with the start at $3.30. Pin Me Down was involved with that, with the only horse not jumping initially. And then, of course, you've got Dance Card at $7.50. He's been some early money for that particular runner. Big thanks to Aidan Rodley, even though he is unwell, to be able to provide us with some speed maps as well. This could be the key part of the race. I mean, it could be a very Mickey Mouse race, Michael, over 2,200 metres, small field, as we so often see with staying races around Ellerslie. So how important is a speed map towards the winner of the race?
First things first, BP, what's really interesting for me is this is a twilight meeting, and it's been really hot, like really hot in Auckland this week. The hottest week of the year, I would suggest. And the track was a good 5 when they had track gallops there on Monday morning. But they've had to irrigate, and obviously they'll have to irrigate more. But once you have the twilight meetings, it's a different kettle of fish. You do the penetrometer in the morning, and then it just bakes and bakes and bakes. So what you don't want to be doing, and I'm not saying the track will be too hard, but it'll be very firm. It'll be a good 3, one would suggest, by 4:30. And you start saying, well, who's going to handle that the best? Because some of these horses have had a long summer. Now, Sentimental Miss won on that good 3 last time out. That was 2 months ago now, because she missed that race in the Auckland Cup. So you're talking about a horse racing over 2,200 metres, BP, who hasn't raced for 2 months. I know she's had a trip away. Still a very, very long time. I thought out of all of these horses, the horse who I know would handle the track is Pin Me Down, but she's had a rugged time. She's had some really strong racing. Dead unlucky in this race, the second running, or the 1.5 running of the Auckland Cup. That's her at the back there, getting pushed back, and then she loses a clear path in the straight as well. So this race just nothing went right for her. But when I looked at this afternoon, I watched it 3 times, BP, I thought, well, this will just win. This will just be winning. But the more I've watched it and thought about the fact she started in Zabeel 6 days earlier, you're thinking, you know, are her legs going to be fresh for this? And then you factor in the weight. She's got 58.5 kilos. Matt Cameron, the new jockey on her this week. Initially, I thought she was a moral, and then I watched this video because Intrigue came out last time, and admittedly not as strong a field, and I thought she showed superior leg speed to Pin Me Down. And I think that'll be the key to this race, because in a small field, you need a turn of foot. And if you don't have that, the race complexion can change very quickly. So this is her in the provocative colours getting to the outside, and she's still a bit dopey. But I thought the last 100 metres we saw here in a 6-horse field was the key to the race.
Yeah, well, she's always shown this explosiveness, hasn't it? We always know that she's a horse that has got something about her. What about the track conditions? I mean, how much of that is in the back of your mind as well, Michael? Because, I mean, most horses, they want to get on that dead 4 bracket. You know, they want a little bit of forgiveness in the ground. You've just spoken about by the time we get to 4:30 in the afternoon with the track surface, we know that this horse has been late scratched. You know, from a previous race meeting at Te Rapa because of the track being too firm. So how much does that play into the equation?
It's funny, isn't it? I think it's going to depend on the weather in the next couple of days, but I don't want to back her if it's one of those scorching days. And I think then I'll back Pin Me Down. I can make a case for either. If I think the first race might have a bit more given the track, then I'll be backing Intrigue. Sentimental Miss is really interesting because the money could well come for her with James on. Obviously, all of James's mounts are going to be really heavily backed. Small field's going to be tactical, and he is the master of tactics. I thought one of the top 3 would win, as the market would suggest, but it is a long time without a race.
It is.
At this level, yeah. And she does have to carry a big weight. So, look, I went Intrigue on top because I think she'll get away with it. And I don't think it's going to get to a 2. It's not going to get silly firm. I just think it's going to be a nice, decently firm summer track, as it should be. But I thought Pin Me Down might just come out and win this, and afterwards we'd say to each other, well, how could you not pick it on top? But just that little caveat, she has had quite a bit of hard racing.
She has. She races her best. She's got her best wins at this venue. Pin Me Down, that's another key factor around her.
How did you see it?
I went with Pin Me Down, but very narrowly though. I couldn't find too much between Intrigue and her. I've just gone...
Are we being rude to Sentimental Miss by...
No, I don't think so. But I think the break between runs, I mean, she has had to travel all the way to Auckland and then have that non-race in the City of Auckland Cup. It was good to see her back in form, at least in the Wanganui Cup, because that's what we've been looking for.
She copped a 3. She copped a 3 that day, which Lisa, I think, probably inspired her to come to races like this. I actually thought it was a disappointingly small field. I mean, this race last season was won by 5 to Midnight over Mongolian Marshall, who's actually heading to a different race at New Plymouth next week. For 100k, I know it's been a long season. I know a lot of horses have had a lot of racing, but for 100k, I thought they should have got a better field than this. Yeah,
well, but isn't it just with where things are at though with our stayers? I mean, we've got it's impacted by what's around.
I tell you what I think it is. I think with a sprinter, you can turn them around and say, "We'll race next week," and you can just change your plans and you can just go over 1200. But you can't do that over 2200. And I think that a lot of trainers probably thought this would be a stronger field, and then they would have looked at the nominations or the acceptances on Tuesday and gone, okay. And I think there's lots of people out there watching this who would have thought, take for example, because obviously you need to be a Karaka horse to get through it, but there's plenty of horses that have raced over the last month in stronger fields for not this amount of money or even less money who would love to be here. I just think it's a race that's snuck under a few people's guard, to be honest.
All right, well, as we've just spoken about and as we've topped off started the show with $2 million races, they are the centrepiece of these 6 races. But I'm sure most people also be wanting to go and see a very good horse, and his name is Catalyst. He is lining up in the Henley Park Mr. Tiz Trophy over 1,200 metres at Group 3 level. His opening quote at $1.10. There's been a lot of talk about what price he would actually open in this market. There was sort of the $1.12s, $1.15s, $1.20. Bookmakers have played with a very straight bat here and have said he has a $1.10 chance. And looking at the opposition, no disrespect to horses like Run to Perfection, which he has beaten in a 2,000 guineas. Bavella's got some very sound form with what she's shown, but he looks to be a high-class animal that's got some very big targets in front of him. Michael, who's had the trial out of Matamata, who's put them away in a 2,000 guineas, and this will be a very good pipe opener for him for his new preparation.
Look, you can't take $1.10, and no one's going to unless it's in a multi. Obviously, I'll get back to the price in a second because this is one of the strangest stories I've been involved in pricing-wise for New Zealand racing of any code. But the trial last week was outstanding. Had a long discussion with Clayton Chipperfield, his trainer, today. I said, let's go through things that can go wrong because if I'm copping $1.10, I want to make sure there's no doubt. I said, first time Ellerslie, said, didn't take him there for a gallop, don't need to. Handled Ruakaka, Riccarton and Hastings, no stress. Okay, good. 60 kilos, he said, well, we should be able to give Run to Perfection 2 kilos. That's what we should be able to do. I thought, pretty hard to argue with that. Blinkers off. Blinkers, he didn't start on blinkers the first time he raced when he got beaten at Taraba. Has raced in blinkers every start since. He said, we trialled him, which we'll show you in a second, without the blinkers, and he beat Te Akau Shark. So that's no issue. So barrier 7, he said, leaving it up to Troy, but we're happy to go forward if he thinks the horse will do that. I do believe, this is Clayton's words, I do believe the horse will get out of the gates better with the blinkers off, as he did in the trial, and that gives us more options. I said, fitness-wise, he said, 15 kilos bigger, stronger. When I ride him, he feels more powerful. He is a better horse than when you last saw him. I said, is there anything I need to know here? He said, no, I think he'll win. And then he rang me back and he said, by the way, just tell people voting for the All-Star Mile, if this horse happened by some luck to get into the All-Star Mile and we win, I'm going to donate $10,000 to Ronald McDonald House because I want, to share the good fortune. So he has no concerns about his horse. You shouldn't either. The question is, are you willing to cop $1.10?
Yes, and as you said, Michael, it's a case of just maybe trying to run through a multi with the $1.10 and try and find your best way possible of turning that into a bit of fun. This is his effort here at the trials, Michael. He's beaten Te Akau Shark. This is a very good hit out, again from a horse who really glides across the turf. I just love watching this horse gallop and go to the races. As I said, Michael, this will set up the night. This horse will set up the night with him being there. We've got Also an exhibition gallop as well from Melody Bell and Te Akau Shark and those type of horses, which is going to be great. But the fact that we're going to see him racing on the night, boy, this is going to be good fun seeing him and what he's going to do through this autumn preparation.
If he comes out and wins by 3, it's going to aid him in a couple of ways. I think they might give Troy the latitude to push the button at the 200 and keep going. I think he'll win by 3 because that'll get them more votes for the All-Star Mile. They need that hype. Alligator Blood's got hype. Other horses have hype going. Colding's got hype. I reckon they'll be pretty keen to push the button and just say, look, run 200. It's 1,200 metres. I ain't going to hurt him. You run 200 as quick as you want. Now, here's the market for the All-Star Mile. Of course, he has to head to the Australian Guineas first, but he's $11 for that, and some of the horses around him are champions. Castelvecchio ran second in a Cox Plate de Ligue Azure. Alligator Blood is incredibly exciting. Colding's won the Golden Eagle and the Epsom. Melody Bell's won 10 Group 1s. Mystic Journey's defending champion. So this is a super race. Super Seth's in there. He won the Caulfield Guineas. So that's the sort of horses you're talking about him being possibly like. I would love to see him be given his head at the 300. He'll run 300 metres jogging, right, at full speed, and then we can see something. And I think then if that happens and if he wins, everybody will go, wow, and I reckon the electricity won't leave the place.
No, it won't. It won't. What's chances of running Quinellas, Trifecta's first falls? I mean, how do we try and make some money out of this race?
I love Run to Perfection, surely you do too,
yep.
But I thought last time he looked like a 1,400 metre horse or a mile or winning a 1,200 metre race in a decent field, but not as good a field as this. The horse that's really interesting is Bavella. Bavella ran 4th in the Guineas down south. I think it was stretching to 1,600. I don't think they really wanted to go there, but you've got to go to the Guineas because it's a Group 1. I spoke to Lance Noble at length tonight. I said, is she ready? He said, well, yeah, she has to be because I set her for this race. So we had to set her for this because it's Group 3. We don't get many goes at 1,200. Hard track, or not hard, but firmish track. She's quite jaunty. She's offset in front. He said, no, shouldn't be an issue. She's strong enough now, she'll be able to cop it. He said, we'll be up on the speed. So I think she's the logical horse to run second, and that's no disrespect to Run to Perfection because I think he's very good, but I think he's here because this is the other option race for him. I actually think he's a miler, to be honest. How did you see the race
he's a good colt,
as a money-making proposition?
Yeah, I think a case of maybe just trying to play trifectas in first falls with a heavy ticket around Bavella and Run to Perfection. I think they're the horses you want to be placing into second and third. I mean, Run to Perfection, as you pointed out, Michael, he's a good colt that's run a placing behind Harlequin Assart, and he's gone to Christchurch. He's run 4th in the 2,000 Guineas. I liked the way he won over 1,200 metres. He captures me as a horse, but this race over 1,200 against these sort of quality horses, second or third, looks to be his place. And then you've got Show of Roses. I mean, Show of Roses run some good races.
Class horse, loves the running on the speed,
yeah.
barrier 1.
Barrier 1.
Madam Hass was excellent last start. Only concern with her is she's got barrier 9. And I think she'll probably have to work or it gets come up from off the speed. She's a very, very good filly, the Pure Encanto. I like her. I tell you, I'm going to try and make money off the race. For this show, my Quinellas Bavella. But, and I can't have this bit yet because I'm not sure what the odds are. They'll give you Catalyst to win by a margin. They'll give you options for that under the new system. I reckon they might give you $1.70 for 3 lengths plus. If they give me that, that's my bet.
You'll be hopping in. All right, that's race number 2 on the program, the Henley Park Mr. Tiz Trophy featuring Catalyst. And as we head out for a break, let's capture in some vision of Catalyst.
And here he comes, Catalyst, let rip by Troy Harris. He strode to the lead over Sherwood Forest. He's an equine masterpiece. He's fearless. Catalyst wins the 2,000 Guineas by 3. Unless I stuck by you, you're the sunflower. I think your love would be too much. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning, thunder.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Set apart from the rest of the world, enviable bloodlines run the length and breadth of New Zealand, producing some of the very best yearlings on the planet. But you don't get Group 1 winning racehorses purely from nature. There's toil behind the triumph with expert horse people who give the Kiwi bred a true winning edge. The figures speak for themselves. Destined for racetrack stardom, over 1,200 yearlings are on offer at Karaka this summer. New Zealand bloodstock, where winning begins.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
$200 to go. Drossen in front, coming after Santa Monica. Out wide, Ricky Tiki Tappy. Ever Loyal's running on with Fox Lightning. Drossen, now coming after it, Ever Loyal, but Drossen's won it.
Well, the big jockeys, they love winning on the big days. I reckon Michael McNabb gives it the big go-to though, doesn't he, Michael? He loves a big race winning, as we saw there 12 months ago with Ardrossan.
I love the emotion. I love when Jason Waddell gets involved in the crazy stuff. J-Mac's very good with pointing to the owners and that sort of stuff. And I think Michael Walker might be the all-time favourite with the tongue poke. I would like to see Opie go nuts one day. Wouldn't that be nice? He's so calm and relaxed, Opie. I'd like some lunacy. Maybe you can produce some on Saturday night.
I don't know if Opie's that sort of character, to be honest with you. But anyway, we've got the tipping competition via our Facebook Live as well. So $700 up for grabs in bonus bets. So what's your best bet over the weekend? Throw it on the Facebook Live, and if you are selected, you have a chance over the weekend to try and outrun us to get a piece of the $700.
Do you need to be 18 or over?
You do, so that counts out my kids.
Can your son. That's who I was thinking of when I asked that question. I think what's going to be really interesting, the next race on the card, the Concord, we lost the favourite today.
Yes.
Only in Jakarta, au revoir, as the French would say. And nothing wrong with her, they just had a little bit of an issue, and it's not going to affect her heading forward, but it's really changed this market. 36% change to the market for any win bet put on before Only in Jakarta came out, and I think you and I and everybody else was going to declare her, and now it's like, all right, what happens now?
What happens to this race? Seriously, I mean, this really opens it up. Pretty to See, $3.60, Santa Catarina, $3.80. Rockin' Affairs got an inside gate, and as we know, that horse can go forward, is at $9. Vigor Winner, 12s, it's Destiny's Child, a Counties Bowl winner. Malta Veloce, Reg Suar, they're $12s and $10. I find this race very awkward now, Michael. So what's going to happen in terms of the speed around the race? As I said, Rockin' Affair from barrier number 1. Swiss Watch, who comes in off of a victory from Hawke's Bay, also a go-forward horse.
Look, there's a lot of horses who could go forward, but Rockin' Affair is so quick from barrier 1, you would think natural leader. I think it's not so much the first 200 or 300. It's that next 400. If they can button off through here, horses of this quality can button off, then it's a really big problem for their Vigor Winner, and even more so for Pretty to See. Now, Pretty to See, I actually thought they might have started in the Westbury. I really did. Now, she was so good beating Avantage, the Telegraph winner, on Boxing Day. But she's come back and she's raced in the Railway, and she's been dead unlucky. But there was tempo there. There was more tempo than I think we might see. Not severe tempo, but there was more. I just see this being a niggly race because I'm not sure who's going to rough and tumble Rockin' Affair. So Pretty to See and Vigor Winner, who is more of a 1400, 1600 metre horse, they're the two horses who need tempo, and they might not quite get it because I don't see much pressure on Rockin' Affair. So here she is, Pretty to See, on this occasion. There's Avantage swooping up. This is Boxing Day, and Avantage, of course, has won the tally since. Pretty to See beat a fair and square. Now, Avantage was a run short here, but this was a hell of a run from a horse we didn't expect to win on a firm track. She'd had 2 previous wins, both on heavy tracks at Ellerslie. Here's the Railway. She's well back in the field, again in those Cambridge stud colours. Nothing sort of went right for her in the straight, but the last 100 metres was really good. What I would say is she hit the line here, BP, like a 1400 metre horse, and I'm surprised she's not in the Westbury. Oh, in saying that, they've probably eased up on her a little touch as well, but she's very good here running past Volpe Veloce.
Very good. I mean, this is a horse now I think is deserved of the favourites tag in the race. Outside of her, you've got support also for the Stephen Marsh trained runner, the stablemate in Santa Catarina. How do you line up that horse's prospects?
I think she's a horse who hasn't had as busy a time recently, and that's really valuable to her. I think there'll be a lot of horses who are starting to get tired, or the trainers have had to ease off them and come again, and that might have been the case like a horse like Pretty to See. I think she could also finish with a big kick, but again, that's going to want tempo. So you say to yourself, if we're thinking, maybe there's not a heap of tempo, does it become Rockin' Affair up on the speed and it's Destiny's Child sitting close to it as she did in the counties race, and potentially they get away? So I'm not sure what to make of this race. I'm hoping there's tempo, but I think you can make two options. You can scenario bet. No tempo scenario, great. You have your 10 units Rockin' Affair, 10 units is Destiny's Child. If you're thinking they get involved, then you bet round Pretty to See, Santa Catarina, Mr. Universe,
if that's the
Vega
case.
Winner,
Yeah.
all those sort of horses. So you can choose what you think's going to happen and bet around that. But I don't know. I just think there's a lot of horses in this race you can make a case for and then immediately not make a case for the same horse. And that could be based entirely around tempo. You don't want to be on Pretty to See if they go 110. You don't want to be on it for that.
Yeah, I just feel as it's a no-bet race for mine. Same for you? Or?
I don't think it's a race on the day I'm going to bet into, but if I start to see something developing during the day, or if I get an inclination from someone that we're going forward here on a different horse, I think it's a race when you're watching trackside, I'm going to have a big team on trackside there, like a big team on Saturday. I think there can be nuggets gleaned out of this.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say with Rockin' Affair, you look at it and you think, 60 kgs is an awful lot of weight for a horse who, is still relatively new to Ellerslie. I had the one start there. It's actually not too badly placed. A horse like Pretty to See's carrying 59. There's a lot of weight for horses who are very close to it for their comparable abilities. So I think it's a puzzle, but I think there's some more pieces of information to be gleaned from that puzzle.
Yeah, if you get the right information and sort of, as Michael pointed out, if you get the feel for the race that there is going to be strong tempo in the event, well then maybe you can start looking towards some of those back markers.
If you had to have a bet, what would you back?
Well, I'm a fan of Mr. Universe. I really do like him. I think he's a horse though that needs a lot to go his way to be winning this race, but I'm happy to find out at $9 if things are going to work in his favour.
I think Matt Cameron might suit him. I think a busy rider like Matt, I think he's a horse who's got a few little mental issues just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt can sort him out and say, come on, enough of this rubbish, let's get on with it. But again, this could be a race where a whole heap of horses charge down the outside, Rockin' Affair holds on and wins, and we go, leader won a 1200 race on a good three. Yeah. Who would have thought?
All right, well, let's move on to the babies now, the first of our $1 Million races, race number 4. And we see the favouritism around Play That Song. Leading up towards the Eclipse Stakes, it's all been about not an option. It's been about how this horse has been the futures market favourite. And then we saw Play That Song arrive again and make it 3 on end and beat Not an Option in the Eclipse Stakes. Cool as a Beal has made a late charge into this race by getting, first of all, a run under his belt by winning at Tauranga and getting things back on track. They were looking towards racing at Ellerslie on their key meeting, which was on the 12th of January, which has seen horses like Avantage and also Probabile win that race to then go on and win the Karaka Million. So they couldn't go that way. They had to go a week later. He's at $4.20. Opie Boss and Jamie Richards, the combination, the red hot combination that is looking for 4 2-year-old Karaka Millions on end. Michael, first of all, how do you see things panning out in the early stages of this race?
I think the favoured horses, Cool as a Beal and Play That Song, don't want to be leaders, but they'll be around about it. Had a long conversation with James McDonald today. I said, what do you make of Play That Song? He said, I've got all the options I need. He said, I can sit parked. He said, I can go to the lead if I want. He said, she's got that natural speed. He said, I can also sit off them as I did and go hunting in the straight in the Eclipse. I said, so what do you think you're going to do? He said, I think she's that quick out that I might be in a position to control the race. And I said, so how good is she? Was it just a 2-year-old thing? He said, oh no, mate. He said, she's got real stamina. He said, she can hold her sprint for a long way. It was one of those conversations, and I had a conversation with Opie Bosson tonight too, and I've spoken to Lance Noble about Tauroni. It was one of those conversations where after I got off the phone, and James being James, I thought to myself, I can't bet against this. I'm not saying it's a certainty, but I can't bet against this the way James is riding Ellerslie, riding everything.
So can you take the price though? Are you happy? I mean, 190 is getting short on.
I think Not an Option will drift. I don't see too many horses in the race money will come for. By the way, Piaggio's come out of the race today, so Tauroni and Not an Option move in 1.
Cool as a Beal?
Cool as a Beal, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if the algorithms and the Australian punters led to Play That Song, unbeaten, good strike rate trainer, best jockey. wouldn't be surprised if she got to $1.80. This was absolutely outstanding in the Eclipse.
It was. I mean, this is what we wanted to see. Well, I mean, surely those that were on Not an Option didn't want to see this, but this was the announcement of this runner being the favourite for Saturday's race and Play That Song. I want to talk to you about the barrier draw, Michael, because you were there. Now, all the horses had the horse was drawn out, they get to choose their barrier draw. So it all just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what does that tell you then about what these horses want to be doing from the inside? Because obviously, does that not tell you that they're all going to be firing for the lead? Because
it's a funny story.
They've gone that way, haven't they? They believe that their horse is best suited to barrier number 1, because when you are, like normal circumstances, are given barrier draw number 1, you go, oh, okay, well, maybe we do have to use it. Well, you went and chose barrier number 1, so you're telling me that that horse is going to be firing out of the gate. So what happens with those horses that have drawn those first 5 barriers?
Well, Opie Boston said to me, I would rather have drawn out. And they had second option, so clearly no one asked him.
Yeah.
Clearly nobody said, where would you like to be, brother? I think he'd be happy at 5. I honestly think he'd be happy at 5. Nigel Tiley, again, a guy I have enormous respect for, very confident after the draw. He's in the zone, the horse is in the zone, the jockey's clearly in the zone. I just can't make a case to pick against it, even though if Opie and Jamie win with the Tiako horse, we'll go, well, that just happens every week. That's just how life runs, the Karaka Million. But I can't make a case against her because I can't find anything about her I don't like.
Yeah, all right. Well, we better get to a story with Nigel Tiley, because the team were able to catch up with Nigel and also Kate with Play That Song.
She's pretty cruisy. I think that's, she's got the right attitude to be a good racehorse. So yeah, she's a little darling, really.
Really laid back. She's a real smooch. Like if you're walking around the barn, she always comes up and wants a scratch, and a cuddle and just sort of puts her head on you and has a big sleep. My daughter adores her as well. So yeah, she's really cool.
We never really put any pressure on her, and when she won her first start, we thought, well, we might try and get some money in the bin, and then we can give her a bit of a break. So fortunately, it worked out very well. So she had a couple of educational runs early, and then we could set her for this. I didn't take her to Ellerslie to gallop on Monday. I just felt that she didn't need it. She's ready now, so she's very bright. So no, very happy with her. She hadn't run for 3 months when she raced in the Eclipse, and to be honest, I thought that she could. If she ran second to the Colt, I would have been very happy. I mean, he's a quality horse. But, the fact that she beat him, on her merits, and she's definitely trained on. He gave me a very, very positive feedback on her. He said to me that, he thinks that she's a little bit special, and he was adamant that he wanted to come back and ride her. The Colt's got to be hard to beat, not an option. He is a quality horse. Just to look at him, he's a lovely horse. And I think Taroni won a very good race at Ellerslie the day she won. So, they're probably the two main dangers. And Cool as a Bill was good the other day, but he's probably coming in off a bit of an interrupted prep. So sometimes that can go against him.
As you can see from the footage, when she's racing, I can't even describe it. The fact that it's sort of like a family affair as well, with my parents owning her and training her, and I've had this dream of us, everyone always says, oh, what race would you like to win? And it's always been the Karaka Million, so yeah, it'd be pretty special.
Everybody wants to go out and win the Group 1 races, but to win a Karaka Million would mean a lot to us, because it's a big team effort here. And to go and buy a horse at the sales and it's the one that wins the prize, that'd be pretty special.
Lovers and fans, they come and they go. Where you gonna be when the money run low? I've been working my hands down to the...
A great piece there with Nigel Tiley and also daughter Kate Tiley with their charge and Play That Song heading into the weekend. Let's talk about a couple of other horses now. Cool as a Bill. Michael, let's talk about this horse, because he's gone to last Friday. Look, this is a track gallop. This is a glorified trial, but this is what the horse needed at the same time, wasn't it?
It did. He missed the race the previous Sunday because he had a temperature, but nothing serious. I don't think it set him back at all. He is a colt, so it's not going to be a big issue in regards to bouncing out of the race. And as you said, it was basically track work. I had to talk to Opie about him just half an hour ago, or 45 minutes ago, when Opie was, of all things, getting in the bath to get the weight off, because that's how he gets rid of some of the weight. He said he could smell Emily had cooked dinner in the background, but he wasn't allowed to eat any of it. And he said he'll be at 54.5 for proper beal. He said, I will be riding her at 54.5. I said, well, that cool as a beal. He said, well, the other day at track work, I didn't get to ride it. He said, Jamie was riding it. He said, which means Jamie's taking it very seriously. He said, the horse looks really well. He thinks he'll be handy to the speed. He gives himself a good chance, but he was enormously respectful of, as he called them, James and Leith, which will be play that song and not an option. So I think he can win. I think he's going to be awfully hard to beat. I think he's pretty much a good thing to run a place. Talking about running a place, by the way, the boys get paid, have $220,000 in their punting syndicate for Saturday. They might get to 240. Well done to Luke Kimmies and his team for that. They've had 2 bets so far, 50,000 to win probably. The other one ties into this race. 28,500. Catalyst at $1.10 into Tironi to run top 4, because it's a top 4 payout situation. That would return them 100,000. There'll be a slight deduction because of Piaggio coming out of the race. But that's a decent bet. 28,500 gives them Catalyst rolling into Tironi as a top 4 chance. Spoke to Lance Noble tonight. He's very happy with Tironi. He said, would like to draw on a touch, but I think we can. In a 2-year-old race, as he said, it's not as important as in a railway where everybody's going to do everything right, because 1 or 2 of them might pop out the back door.
All right, we'll better talk about not an option now, but before we discuss the horse's chances in trying to overcome the outside barrier draw, but Probabeel, of course, was able to do it in these colours 12 months ago. First of all, Jason and the team were able to catch up with Tony Pike during the week.
Yeah, really happy with this work. Cornered very well, and he's pretty good with his leg changes today. So, very happy with the way he's worked. Mulini's a pretty good track worker in himself. He's a very fast horse, but look to have him off the bridle. So, yeah, really happy going forward to Saturday.
How did you assess his last start run on this track?
Yeah, look, he was a little bit awkward around the corner, but I think James was breathing down Leith's neck, and I think he possibly even, Leith said it himself, he just probably hit the button a little bit too soon right on the point of the turn, and he got a bit unbalanced coming around the corner. Probably just didn't change back to his near full leg in time, but they gapped the rest of the field. The winner probably had the drop on us as well, so looking forward to trying to turn the tables on Saturday.
What are you seeing in his work and how he's coped with today and since his last start to suggest that you will be able to turn the tables and hold off maybe a new challenger like Cool as a Beal?
Yeah, look, just really happy with his condition. He's a very good temperamented colt. He handles everything pretty well, and he's held his condition, obviously through his 3 runs so far. So, he's nice and sound. Obviously, a few 2-year-olds will be starting to feel their shins by now, but he's a very sound horse with a good temperament, and I think he'll handle a high-pressure race like the Karaka Millions pretty well. 1,200 metres around Ellerslie, everyone wants to draw close to the rail. I'd say probably 3 or 4 would be probably an ideal gate, but we'll just have to see how lucky we are on Wednesday night.
Confidence levels for Saturday?
Look, these races are never easy to win, but it's probably the best 2-year-old I've sort of had going towards a race like this, so I'm pretty confident to be right in the finish.
Well, we couldn't quite get barrier 3 or 4, Tony, because your name wasn't pulled out of the hat early enough, so that meant barrier 13.
Was 14, became 13, it's slightly better. Probabeel had 14 last season. It's doable. I think he's a very different type of horse to Probabeel. But what's a bigger issue is the 2 other favourites are going to be on the speed, and we would think, and it's a 2-year-old racing, you never quite know, you would think that they're going to be in the top 5, the 2 favourites, and that's really hard to run past 2 good horses in a race where you don't expect a mad tempo in front. I love the horse. I hope he wins, because Cambridge Startup had a very, very tough last 6 months. But I can't make a case to back him, and I think he'll drift.
I was going to say that, is he a drifter?
I think he's a 550 chance.
Yep. What are tighteners in the market? Are horses like Tironi a chance of maybe getting...
She's already tightened on the place.
Yeah, I like her as an outside chance. I think she might be that one that could finish over the top of them.
Well, you've got to ask who does most of the betting in these meetings. $5 punters don't change markets. The people who bet 5 and 10 are going to be backing James McDonald, Opie Bosson, or horses from those camps, or horses with that sort of form. So here is Tironi, and she was really good this day. and put her in barrier 4, and I think her price is a lot shorter. As I said, Lance Noble, very confident that he's got her where he needs her to be. He said there's no issues with the shins. She hasn't been getting a bit tired. She's only had the 2 starts. Should be unbeaten. She was a tragedy beaten in the inquiry room first up. But here she is at track work the other day with Barvala, who is, you'd imagine, would be a very good track worker, being a big daughter of Schnitzel. But barrier 11 pids me off enough. But if I'm having, say I'm having 1,000. Let's talk real money. So I'm having 1,000 on Play That Song. I'm happy to have 100 on her as a covering bet because I don't think there's that many winning chances.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think she's a serious top 4 chance in the race. So if you believe that she's a serious top 4 chance, with the bookmakers paying out on that top 4, Tauroni, I'm going to go with her. I'm going to mark her as my top pick in the race.
You're going to top $11 chance.
Yep, I am because of a couple of reasons. Because first of all, Play That Song is too tight in the market for me to be having a bet. I'm talking purely on value here. I believe that Play That Song is the top pick in the race, but if I want to be having a bet and I want to be trying to make some money out of the race, I think Tauroni might be that horse where you can spec at an each way. So I'm going to go that way around Tauroni at $12, $13 and hope that if she wins, well, happy days. If she runs in the top 4, well, we still get paid out as well. All right, we better press on here because that's a look at the Karaka Million, the 2-year-old. We're going to take a break, and on the other side, we'll be looking into the next race, which of course will be the Westbury Classic.
Raceform is your new racing weekly with expert form analysis, informed industry views and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Set apart from the rest of the world, enviable bloodlines run the length and breadth of New Zealand, producing some of the very best yearlings on the planet. But you don't get Group 1 winning racehorses purely from nature. There's toil behind the triumph with expert horse people who give the Kiwi bred a true winning edge. The figures speak for themselves. Destined for racetrack stardom, over 1,200 yearlings are on offer at Karaka this summer. New Zealand bloodstock, where winning begins.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar, strawberries on a summer evening. Baby, you're the end of June. I want your belly and that summer feeling, getting washed away. Sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high.
Right, let's move on to the Westbury Classic. This is Group 2 over the 1,400 metres. We do see the winner of this race from last year in the race in Volpe Veloce at $3 with the bookmakers, $6. Kiwi Ida, the Southern Visitor, big chance in the race too with the form that horse brings into the race. $8.50 Princess Kiridu, $4 Rondinella, and James McDonald, $7 Damazoro. They are the runners in single figures. Michael, horses that like to go forward, certainly Popstar Princess is drawn out and we'll be wanting to try and cross them and put in a positive position. Lucas Steele can sit on speed as well from a handy gate.
I think plenty of the other rival jockeys would be happy to see Popstar Princess lead because she couldn't cop the 1,400 last time at Awapuni, so I think they'll think they can get over top of her. I'm not sure it'll be a 1:22 gallop. I think they'll go nice and steady-ish. I'm just not. I think it'll be a luck race. I think horses who have bad luck will have no chance, and it just depends whether a Volpe Veloce gets the right cart, Kiwi Ida can get back. A lot of good horses here can get back, and I think 1400 metres might be too sharp for Rondinella. So I'm willing to not bet Rondinella. This is last year, Volpe Veloce in a comparable field. I watched the 1200 metre railway with Graham Richardson 3 weeks ago. I turned to him and said, mate, this mare's looking for 1400. He said, bang on she is. Next start, the Westbury. I think she can do the same thing, but Jason Waddell is going to need to find a nice horse to follow.
All right, well, that's 12 months ago when she got it on the line. Kiwi Ida. Oh, I want to talk Kiwi Ida now with you, Michael, because this horse brings terrific southern form lines, a deserved place in the race for this horse because of what she's done in the South Island. She's got outstanding black type form. How do you see her lining up in this first-time right-handed, first-time Ellerslie?
I don't think right-handed will bother her. John and Karen are very good at training their horses to do an array of things. Travel won't bother her either. She beat a really good horse in Rock on Wood last time. He's a good horse, and she beat him fair and square, and he's been excellent since then in the Thornton.
Yep.
So no reason she can't win. She's got better than Mare's form on it. Chris Johnson's a great rider. We know that. There's no pot on her at all. There's no pot on Dama Zora. There's no pot on about 6 of them. Peterina.
Well, Rondinella would.
I'm potting her because I think 1400 might be too sharp for her for a sharp. And I think she felt the firm tracks last time. Roger last autumn thought she was a firm track horse because she had placed on wet tracks in Sydney Cups. I think the way she pulled up after Caulfield and Flemington, they doubt that. I think it's too sharp for her. For me, it's a no-bet race. I just think it's going to depend on who gets to follow the right horse because it could be messy in here.
I'm going to split bet. I'm going to have Kiwi Ida and Dama Zora. I think Dama Zora is a horse that is deserving of trying to grab a big prize, win a good race in the railway, has been in good form this season. Michael D takes the ride for David Green. So I'm happy to be on a couple of closes there in the 5th, the Westbury Classic. Let's move on to the last race, race number 6. And we completed with the 3-year-old Classic worth $1 million. $450 around Harlech, who was second in the Levin Classic. $340 for Conqueror, the Australian visitor. Where's the money? It is around Probabeel. $195 into $185 off the back of BGP going $50,000 please on Probabeel. TAB Bookmakers said you're on. And that's the sort of money we're going to be seeing from that group over Saturday afternoon. Now have opened the shoulders straight away, have boys get paid. They're looking for history. Punters are keen to be aboard the Probabeel train. How does she finish over the top of them, Michael, and where does she land in the race with her barrier draw of 7?
I think there's genuine speed here. I think our Creed likes to get up on the nickel and go. Pimlico likes to go forward. Rhaegar's a horse who actually got a bit rank in Sydney for a couple of starts. I think there's horses here who like to go forward. It'll be a proper mile. I think she will come out and beat them. Here she is at Awapuni, this is 3 weeks ago, and on this occasion Opie had to keep his nose in between 2 horses who were trying to squeeze him out, and I spoke to Opie about half an hour ago and he said, I probably should have pulled her back a spot, but she just didn't want to be there, but I wanted to keep her there because I didn't lose my position. It looked a bit messy and a bit lethargic, but the last 100 reminded me of how good a filly she is. She's a superstar filly in the making. And I said to Opie, what do you do this week? He said, I'm going to try and be midfield on the outer. If they go hard enough, I think, his exact words were, I think she'll run past them.
Yeah, like we saw 12 months ago. Like we saw with we're winning the 2-year-old race. I mean, she was just too good.
She almost won the T-Rose Stakes in Sydney against Funstar and Libertini. And this race just pans perfectly for her. I think it's a perfect race. Here's the track work the other day. She's just a very, very good filly. She's got an excellent trainer and a world-class jockey. I can't find a reason not to back her. Now, I think there's a trick to this race.
Yeah.
I think the bookies have priced this wrong.
In what way?
They got Conqueror too short. I think Conqueror should be $6.
Are you talking from, let's say, 12 months ago? Longleaf won this race, same jockey, same training partnership. It's a horse who's got a similar profile.
I'm thinking 3 weeks ago. They've got James McDonald Fear Factor all over them. Here he is at Caulfield. Watch this. And put in your mind's eye, this is like a rating 76 or 82, isn't it? Put in your mind's eye Harlech or Probabeel, where he was at the top of the straight. I haven't seen change-up speed from him yet. I think he's a nice, big, strong horse. He's not actually bred to have that much change-up speed. Like Diadem wasn't a jump out of the ground type horse. Here's Harlech, and this is the race which he probably lost a few fans because he was in a beautiful spot to win the Living Classic at Trentham, and Travelling Light went right past him. If you take Travelling Light out of this, he's beaten Riadini easy. What did you make of this?
Yeah, well, I mean, Travelling Light's just got very good turn-up speed, though, hasn't she? She's a horse who can sprint, and she's got outstanding acceleration. Harlech is a horse who's a good closer. He's a hunter. I mean, look, that's the best we've seen from him, when he can really peel off really good, strong speed. He's a horse that is the better stayer, possibly. He's the horse that's got the better sort of turn up off that good pressure. There, he sat in a trail. They've buttoned it off. That's a race where they've just switched speed right off, and it's turned into a pure sprint between a horse who's got a very good turn of foot and Travelling Light, who's been able to come over the top. If this race pans out nicely, he is the biggest danger in the race, I
Absolutely, no doubt. I think the only concern here for me is I feel this is, I know this sounds crazy because it's $1 million. I think it's an afterthought. They wanted the Group 1 for the stallion career. I think it's an afterthought. I think he's a clear danger. I think Probably will win the race. I think you can cover on Harlech, and I think Conqueror is about a $6 chance. And I think they've got him 340, so I expect Probably to maybe come in a touch. I think Harlech will drift. Just well, hold on, I think he will drift because of his recent defeats, but I think Probably will win, and she's better than Night.
Yeah, and he already is. He's gone from $4 out to $4.50. Probably a $1.95 into $1.85. We'll take another break, and on the other side, we're going to link him with Thad Taylor.
The Real Deal tackled by Longleaf on the inside. Running on now, we've got Madison Kelty. Also there Imelda Mary. The Real Deal and Longleaf having a great battle. McDonald getting the work on Longleaf. The Aussie gets the Karaka Million 3-year-old. Longleaf won it, and isn't he excited?
So low, boy, you can cool it down. Not here to fool around. Just wanna dance, 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 dance. I know you want me, but I don't care, baby. Just wanna dance, 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 dance.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Set apart from the rest of the world, enviable bloodlines run the length and breadth of New Zealand, producing some of the very best yearlings on the planet. But you don't get Group 1 winning racehorses purely from nature. There's toil behind the triumph, with expert horse people who give the Kiwi bred a true winning edge. The figures speak for themselves. Destined for racetrack stardom, over 1,200 yearlings are on offer at Karaka this summer. New Zealand bloodstock, where winning begins.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Right, getting to the end of the show now, so we better make sure we catch up with Thad Taylor before we have to say good night. And boy, Thad Taylor, what a night of racing coming up. Karaka Million Night, you can't beat it. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Brendan. Good evening, viewers. Absolutely right. This meeting just gathers strength to strength every year, and it's going to be no exception this year. Karaka Million Night at Ellerslie, 6 races, and the turnover will be huge, I can assure you.
Oh, you're not wrong, Thad. There will be a big night in front of us. Right, we'll better crack onto it and get straight into the first of those features. That being race number 4 for the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, look, we've got the market in 3 here, Brendan, and pretty interesting. We'll obviously play that song 3 from 3. We've learnt our lesson around James McDonald. We got reminded about that over Boxing Day Carnival. We're $1.90 play that song. Cool Azabeel draws well around $4.20, and obviously not an option with that bad barrier draw, outside barrier draw, is eased to $5. But it's not a 3-horse race. Customers are telling us there's a few chances here. Love Bug, they're trying to do a bit of an Enzo's Loud on us here, Brendan, with Love Bug. If the Pittman Army can get Love Bug home in the 2-year-old, we could be in a bit of strife, much like Enzo's Loud. They nearly pulled it off last week. But there is also money for Tironi. There's money for Helsinki, who ran a nice second on debut. And even Tivan Warrior out there at $41 gathers some attention. So even though we've got 3 horses priced relatively short, customers are saying there could be room for a bit of a roughie or an outsider in this year's 2-year-old Karaka Million.
Well, that's a look at the 2-year-old Thad. Let's move on to race number 6, the final race of the night, the 3-year-old Karaka Classic. Real intrigue here because punters possibly are looking towards a bit of history here with Probabile.
They certainly are. They're looking to it in a big way. I said the 2-year-old race wasn't seen as a 3-horse race. This one is, and you could whittle 3 down to perhaps 1 in Probabile. We had a $50,000 bet on Probabile. I'm not sure where that came from, Brendan, at $1.95 into $1.85 there on Probabile. Conqueror and Harlech obviously in commission, but we're seeing no money for anything outside of those top 3. But be interesting to see where the price on Probabile does end. Currently trading at $1.85 off an opening line of $1.95.
Well, Thad, I've been waiting for the fields to come out Wednesday afternoon. Want to get my multis rolling. Catalyst is that horse, $1.10. Talk to me.
Yes, generous, Brendan. I think there's a term there. Look, $1.15 in the Guineas, BP. If you line it up that way, $1.10 might be a bit of a gift in a field that would be nowhere near as strong as a 2,000 Guineas. So we rated it about an 85% chance of winning this race, and therefore we've come up with $1.10. Well, look, if we had this price wrong, BP, they'd be backing things outside it. We'd be losing $40,000 on Bavella or $50,000 on a run to perfection. That hasn't happened, and this market currently trading at 117%, so we're fairly generous on those outsiders. But yeah, look, we can't see Catalyst being beaten, and we've given it about an 85 to 87% chance of winning. Therefore, we've ended up with $1.10.
Okay, all right, we'll move on from the $1.10 there with Catalyst, Thad, and we'll just have a look at the rest of the program. Anything else of note?
Look, we've lost Only in Jakarta. If you had a bet before midday today, roughly, or before Only in Jakarta came out, unfortunately, in the Concord, that's a 36% deduction. Mr. Universe looks to be a nice each-way bet in that race. The Westbury Classic, Volpe Veloce looking to defend her crown. But at this stage, a couple they're backing to beat her. Dama Zorro, who ran a nice race in the railway and we know is a very, very good mare. And obviously Kiwi Ida, with that rock on wood and Shadows cast form, has been well supported as well.
Well, we all enjoyed the first call special last week, Thad. So what have you got as the special for Karaka Million Night?
Yeah, we got us last week, Brendan. I said we were in trouble. I was right with Windspell and Julius with this top 4 double. And I just do want to reiterate, we'll be paying top 4 on 5 of the 6 races at Ellerslie on Saturday evening. Only race 1 will have 3 dividends. So final field top 3 becomes final field top 4. The special is going to be a top 4 treble. Not an option. Kiwi Ida and Harlech, all to run in the top 4. Currently around $3.60, $4 until 5 o'clock tomorrow. If you think those 3 runners can all place in the top 4 in their respective races come Saturday afternoon, I'm looking forward to it, Pops.
Well, thank you, Thad. I think we're all looking forward to it, that is for sure. $4. It's going to get me. It's going to get me again. We took a piece of the special last week, so let's have a look at the leaderboard anyway. Jason, he's just stalled a little bit. He's down playing golf with Bevan Sweeney, so I'm sure that he's got a really good strategy for this week as well, Jason. So 46 units last week for him, 111 for Aidan Rodley, probably got a double in there somewhere, and 102 units for myself as well. So that's the leaderboard as it stands so far. Michael, give it to me with your bets.
I'll make it simple. Probabile's the bet of the night, so 30 units there. But covering on Harlech, I think it's a 2-horse race. Play That Song, I think, will win. I'm happy on Bavella and Catalyst as the Quinella. And Intrigue, I'll go 20 units in the first, but I do respect your opinion around Pin Me Down.
All right, let's have a look at how I want to play it. I'm going to have something on Tauroni. 5 a win, 15 a place. Also, I'm going to throw a real big specky here. Tavan Warrior, 10 units a place. This horse did place in the Eclipse Stakes with the right run. Could be that horse who could run 3rd or 4th. Split betting if Kiwi Ida and also Dama Zorro. And I'm going to throw 10 units on their first call special as well. Trentham, also on Saturday. I really like Daytona Red. 30 units on that horse, making it my best bet. And Amano in race 8, 10 units on that particular runner. Jason, he likes Pin Me Down, 20 units on that horse. Race 3, Vigor winner, 10 over 20. Play That Song, 30 units. And Probabile, 20 units. Aidan Rodley, he likes Pin Me Down. He likes Cool as a Beal. Also, he's going a multi, Pin Me Down and Cool as a Beal. A 20 unit place multi, Pin Me Down, Cool as a Beal. And Wicked Maiden, I'm pretty sure Aidan has never bowled a Wicked Maiden in his life, but he's looking to get on one here in race number 2 at Trentham. 50 units, believe me, I've seen him bowl. Let's have a look at the best bets, and I'm going with Daytona Red. Aidan going with Wicked Maiden. Michael Guerin, you?
Probably. That's me. Hope everybody enjoys the night BP, and thanks for having me on for the show today because I love Karaka Million Time. Who won our competition, by the way?
Yes. Competition? Joel. Well done, Joel Beattie. Now you're going for a nice option here. Tomorrow at Te Araha, race 5, Contessa Vanessa, $9.50. So we've seen a few viewers that have gone for some big prices. This one's right in the middle, $9.50. If that horse wins, you've got a big chance of taking away $700 in bonus bets. Big thanks to Michael, also for Jason and Aidan bringing their bets through. I hope you enjoyed the big night of racing out of Ellerslie.
Nothing can break me down. I'm the man.